Hello everyone, this is Major Green, also known as Nitpicking Nerd, and this video I will be defending The Last Jedi. I made a lot of videos criticizing it and pointing out things that don't make sense. We can make up theories to try to explain it, which is also fun to do. Another problem that I saw other people mention, which I don't find as a problem, is that whole scene with the bombers, which bombard the Dreadnought ship. They have these little bombs which they drop out into space and onto that ship, the enemy ship. So the question arises, why not just use torpedoes? Why can't they simply launch these bombs from afar? And I don't think it's such a big deal actually, because if you had to install a propulsion system to each of these bombs to make it into a torpedo, it would probably make this whole weapon much more expensive. So you wouldn't be able to have as many bombs if you had to equip each one of them as a torpedo. So that's number one. And number two, maybe such small targets, maybe the Empire does have some kind of defenses which would eliminate all those small bombs from afar. But if you drop them from close by, then they don't have enough time to stop all these bombs. So I don't actually have that big of a deal with it. The bomber ships themselves do seem a little bit silly, the way that why are they moving so much slower than the X-Wings, for example. So I guess it's because they're so much heavier. Maybe they have some very big shielding, maybe they have big armor, but it didn't seem to protect them either. Also, they fly them all very close together, which causes a chain reaction, so many of them get destroyed on the way. But this whole attack wasn't really coordinated. It was kind of a snap decision by Poe, who decided to launch this attack. And Leia didn't want to do this, so you can kind of excuse this whole mess of the way they did it by the fact that it wasn't coordinated, like they didn't plan this attack, so it was all on the run, and so you can kind of excuse that. And now for the issue of the bombs falling down in space, which a lot of people seem to find annoying. First of all, when the ship opens from below, and there are people on the ship, and so many people would ask how come they don't get sucked out. But we always saw in Star Wars that they do have force fields which hold the cargo bay doors, all of that, just like in Star Trek, by the way. In Star Trek you always saw the force field better. Like in Star Wars, they don't actually show you that glimmering effect, so it just looks as if it's open out into space. I kind of just know that there are force fields there, even if they don't show it. Maybe they should add some more effects so that all people will realize that there is actually a force field there, which allows the bombs to pass through but doesn't allow the air to go out. And now to the issue of gravity. First of all, it's a big misconception that there is no gravity in space. Actually, if you put someone close to planet Earth in space, he would be falling down toward the planet. The only reason you see astronauts in 0G is because they are in orbit, so they are actually spinning very fast around the planet. So they are basically still falling, but they also move to the side all the time, and so they kind of fall and miss. They still have gravity, they are still getting pulled toward the planet. So a lot of people who don't know astronomy well enough simply don't realize it. They think they see astronauts flying in space, and so they think, oh, there is no gravity at all in space. That's not actually the case. If they stop the orbit, if they stop themselves from flying sideways, they will actually begin to fall toward the planet. So there is gravity near a planet, and in this scene there was a planet underneath the Dreadnought. So that alone can explain that. And also that ship itself was so massive, maybe it has a little bit of gravity of its own also. So that's number one. Secondly, there was artificial gravity inside the bomber ship. And you could see that the Asian lady was still lying down next to the exit of the ship. So gravity was affecting her, presumably the artificial gravity of the ship. All the ships in Star Wars have artificial gravity. And now some people might have a problem by saying that the artificial gravity plates must be on the bottom of the ship. So when you open up that bottom, you no longer have that gravity. But who said that it has to be on the bottom? Maybe it's somewhere on the side of the ship, maybe it's on the top of the ship, the way they generate the artificial gravity, and so I don't find it as a problem. And I can give you an example from another famous science fiction movie, Aliens. You had that airlock in which Ripley and the Queen fought in the end of the movie, and later the airlock got opened, and you could see that the opening is very thin layer, so it's kind of hard to accept that there must have been artificial gravity plates inside that door of the airlock. So that also wouldn't make sense in the same way, but I never had a problem with that, because I presume maybe the artificial gravity is generated maybe from the top of the ship, maybe from the sides, and not necessarily from the very bottom. And so I don't have a problem with gravity still existing down there, even if the doors don't have gravity plates. Also, in another scene earlier in that movie, you saw the dropship being released from the bottom of the ship and apparently falling down to the planet. So maybe it was partly because of what I said earlier, that there is still a gravity out in space if it's not in an orbit. If they were not in a fast orbit around the planet, then they would actually fall down if nothing is holding them. So that alone might explain it. Also, maybe the artificial gravity of the ship was also affecting that drop ship. So that may be what gave it the push to fall down. And so in the same way, I can explain this scene in The Last Jedi of how the bombs fell out of the ship, even if the ship was open below. So I simply say there is artificial gravity inside the ship, and once those bombs leave the ship, even if there was no planet below, they would still keep moving in the same speed that they left. Nothing is slowing them down. So even if there is no gravity outside, they would still continue to fall in the same speed as when they left that ship. So they got accelerated inside the ship and kept moving at the same speed outside of it. And so I have absolutely no problem with this scene, other than the fact that this whole plan was kind of stupid, like the way they were all close together and blew themselves up, and the ship's been so slow, so some of it was still ridiculous. So I'm just saying the specifics of the bombs dropping down, the bombs falling out, did not bother me because I can see so many possible explanations that I don't view it as a plot hole. So anyway, that's it for this video. I'll make a few more videos about specific things in this movie which people complain about, which I don't have a problem with, which I think can be easily explained. So I'll make a few videos like this, and this is all just for fun, so don't blame me for working for Disney or something like that. I'm just doing this for fun because I find it entertaining to discuss this kind of science fiction topic with people. So that's the only reason I'm doing that, and you're welcome to leave your comments below. If you disagree with me, you want to correct me or to add something, you can do it in the comments below, as long as you do it in a civilized way. I welcome any comment. So that's it for today. Let me know what you think, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.